$1 million footwork, 2 moves that are going to help you be untouchable in the ring. Why am I calling this $1 million footwork? Is it just clickbait? No, because this footwork has literally taken fighters to 7- and 8-figure paydays. These are facts. Now, is it complicated? No, it's not complicated. Have you probably heard it before? If you've been around boxing for any period of time, yeah, you probably have. But the better question is, do you do it? Do you do it consistently? Has it finally broken through so that it's in your arsenal and you pull it out in the clutch moments that you actually need it? Probably not, at least from my experience working with a wide variety of fighters at a wide variety of different levels. All right. Now, a while ago, I was inspired to do this, thinking about this guy. I had a guy come to me that had trained in another gym. That's where he started boxing. Tall, lanky guy. And they taught him to just stand there in the pocket and counter. It's like, use your God-given gifts, man. I'm not that tall. And, you know, at 165, 5'8", 5'8.5" on a good day. And maybe that could be me, but I still need to know how to use my feet. But with this guy, he's super tall. So use that length. I wish I had that length, right? Makes your job easy if you know how to use it, but if not, if you don't. And when I told him some of the things I'm going to be telling you in this video, it completely was a paradigm shift for him and his boxing, how he performed in sparring against much better and more experienced fighters. Made it from being him getting beat up to him being neck and neck to him sometimes, dare I say, getting the better of some of these guys sometimes. All right. Now, you want to make sure you stick around to the end of the video, though, to make sure it all ties together, because you also don't know what is the one thing that actually might be the thing that you're missing, maybe even a metaphor that helps it finally click so that you actually use it or use it enough. All right. Now, the first point I'm going to tell you after I build out all of the concepts. All right. When we move and we're taught our first day of movement, what are we taught? We're taught to recreate our stance with every movement. At least I hope you are. All right. What does that mean? That means when you step forward with your left foot, let's say you're orthodox, step forward with your lead foot, your rear foot needs to come the same amount, the same spacing. You don't need to learn initially, especially, how to step and widen out your base, your stance, and not how to recreate it. I was just working on this today with an individual where we're working on that jab, that rear foot's getting left behind. What makes them do, or what happens because of that, is they will overstep with their lead foot to compensate for that lack of range gained by leaving the back foot. All right, so they have a lack of range that is gained by leaving the right foot, rear foot. But if you bring both feet, you don't have to step as far and you get to keep your stance. But if you only step with your lead foot, then you're stuck with either having to do a move afterwards, whether it's retracting that lead foot to go back out of range, which you might want to do strategically for sometimes and some reasons. But as a fundamental base, no, we need to learn how to recreate our stance. But then also, we might have to then bring the rear foot up behind us in order to do anything more. All right. Yes, you could splay out and throw a combination. But then again, inevitably at that point, before you move, you're probably going to have to recreate your stance. So you're going to bring up your back foot to either progress forward again if they move away, or you're going to have to slide away the lead foot. And again, that gets you stuck in the mud a little bit. And fighters that have trouble doing this and do this automatically do run into problems. All right. Now, with these steps, though, as well, I kind of alluded to it with making sure we recreate our stance, whether it's laterally, backwards, forward, or forward or whatever, is that we want to make sure that we take small steps, ideally. Now, does that mean you don't ever take a big step? No. There are absolutely times that it's good to get out of town, right? To blast out and get away from the battlefield. You don't need to retreat from a battlefield slowly. Sometimes you need to just boom, jump out of there. So yes, there is time. And even there is time to jump in. Yes, it's generally a no-no to jump in, but I would be remiss to act like no one has ever caught anybody by jumping in, leaping in, quote unquote. That does happen. That does catch people. Now, if you do it all the time and you do it as a beginner, it's something you got to kind of untrain or train out of you a little bit, or minimize at least, so that it's more of a sparing thing versus an automatic thing, because aggressive beginners will leap in all the time, or more passive beginners will leap away, and not be in a position to do much to counter. Because again, that's the reason why small movements are important, because you take that small step back, that puts you in position to punch right away or to change direction right away. All right, you're going to have your stance. I was working on this with one of my main fighters recently, being able to step back and just slide with that little step. So therefore, they can shoot that right hand as a taller person. If you just jump away all the time, that's good to exit an exchange, particularly when you got the better of it, obviously. But that means, you know, you're turning in your tab. You're closing the door on that exchange instead of that slight step back to run them into something which they had a lot of opportunities to do. And now that they've worked on a little bit, they've gotten better at it, and they've managed to put it into their sparring. Now, when we move, we also want to make sure that we move on the balls of our feet. I see, again, time and time again on social media, I've seen it in the gym. I had this one coach that I employed for a period of time that had boxing experience, and that's why I employed him initially when I first started hiring coaches. And he had a lot of boxing experience, and he was having everybody step forward and hit with the heel first. Step forward, heel, toe, heel, toe. They don't need to train that. Sure, he was having them recreate their stance, but if we're moving heel, toe, you are taking a moment where you can't do anything. You can't, and that is one of those big things. I'm not big to say can't, but I will tell you that for that moment where that heel is on that floor and there's no ball connecting, you are not going to do anything until that foot sets, at least as far as movement is concerned, all right? We need to make sure we don't move our hands, all right? Because everybody does it. They'll wiggle a hand down to move like they're running. Because think about it, you're programmed when you move in any way, shape, or form to move the hands, all right? Because that's what's going to counterbalance your body, also helps you move sometimes. You need to learn how to move without moving the hands. The hands are stationary. So the first one, I kind of already gave it away, is what is it? Working on small steps, forward, backwards, and laterally. Now, why is this $1 million footwork? Because if all you can do is jump in and jump out, there's a time and a place for that. But the masters can take those small steps, small adjustments in the pocket to create a slightly different angle, not a big, elaborate, noticeable angle even. There's been fights that I know that I've watched where I didn't even truly notice someone was cutting little angles, but those little angles were very, very, very small. How big? We're talking 3 inches even, right? Typically with your movement, you want to step about the size of a punch. So a fist is about 5 or so, 6 inches across, but even smaller, just to create those little slight adjustments, different openings for their punches, and get their opponent slightly out of position, because a lot of individuals feel like they have to be in position to punch. Now, of course, it is my opinion that with enough time, you need to learn how to throw out of position, but this is a way that you can offset someone that feels like they have to be perfectly set and braced to throw a punch. Now, with these small steps, how are we going to practice that? You guessed it, the boring stuff, but you don't come here for excitement. You come here for the goddamn truth, right? You're going to practice with just shadow boxing. Shadow boxing in front of a mirror, taking steps laterally, forwards and backwards, taking small, choppy steps, recreating that stance, stepping with the balls of the feet, not altering, not falling forward or falling back or falling to the side of the other side, not wiggling our hands as we do so. All right. Now, going on to the second one, and don't worry, I saved the best for last. Don't get me wrong. The first one is uber important. Those adjustments, the small steps. All right, now let me ask you this. If you're getting chased by an alligator, what should you do? And you don't have any weapon. Do you run straight or do you zigzag? So you know the answer for it. You zigzag. Now, am I going to say you should zigzag as footwork? No. Let me get to the point. All right. So if you want to deal with that big animal coming at you, you're going to go side to side or else it's going to get you. Same as someone's trying to shoot at you. If you run straight away from them, it gives them a chance to try to line up as they shoot. But if you're zigzagging, yes, you could get hit by a random bullet. It is possible. And guess what? You could get hit by a random punch. It is possible. But because guess what? This is not a perfect, no strategy is perfect. No system is perfect. No game is perfect. Maybe checkers is, but this isn't checkers. This is chess, or even way more complicated than it's 4D chess, right? I don't even know what that means, but it sounds like it's more accurate to describe what boxing is. Anyway, so you're zigzagging. And it made me think about this as well with this second concept I'm going to give to you guys. My father had this one heavyweight fighter, really good athlete, former football player, everything else, heavyweight fighter, crazy athlete, just imagine the most athletic dude, fast, explosive, strong, everything. And someone was at one of the training sessions was arguing with him or my dad or something like that, about that their like new race car, like a Ferrari or something like that they bought, could out race this boxer, right? I know what you're saying. You're thinking, okay, race car, I can go like, over 80 miles an hour. A person can't run 80 miles an hour. But my dad, being a sharp guy, he bet the guy that over, I think it was 40 yards. So let's just say it was 40 yards. Might have been slightly longer, but let's just say it was 40 for the sake of the story. That his heavyweight boxer could out sprint this car, could beat this car in a race over 40 yards. But let's actually say it was 100 yards, because probably that sounds more plausible for someone to bet to. And so they lined up, boom. What happened? It took the car some time to build up that momentum, where this boxer, even though he's a big dude, he was able to finish that 100 yards before that car was able to truly get going. And the same thing applies for you in the ring. Don't allow your opponent who is attacking you to build up momentum. Similar to that alligator. They're changing directions on you. Everything else is going to slow them down. Same thing goes with the race car metaphor. Now, if you go straight back and run away from somebody, what's going to happen? You're going to end up on your literal heels. Yes, if you try to run backwards for too much time, you will probably, more likely than not, end up on the heels. And that's a problem that is not only a saying, an old-timey saying, but is a truism. And then, as well, with this last movement tip I'm going to give you, this gives you the ability to actually also set the reset button on people. Yes, when you jump out of an exchange, that helps you reset, all right? Or you reset what someone's thinking about by leaping in on them sometimes, or just by simply launching an attack. Better done. But I've been real big with a few of my people to help them understand the idea, to help them get to the next level of their toolbox, to understand the idea of resetting their opponent, resetting them like a typewriter. It's an old instrument that you guys probably don't know about, but right, you type on the old-timey, whatever it would be, mechanical typewriter, and then you get to the end of the line or whatever it is, and then you got to reset it. Reset it. Type. You get to the end of the page or the end of the line to go to the next line. And that allows you, every time you do this movement that I'm going to talk about, to reset your opponent. So now they have to recalibrate. They can't do what they were going to do. They can't do their attack that they were going to do. They can't start the attack they were going to do. And this is what makes this so beautiful. You hit that reset button and it allows you to dictate the action. So not only are you getting off, not only are you landing more punches, but also you're controlling when they attack, and you are dictating the ring. And that is the epitome of ring generalship. And that is the epitome of $1 million footwork. Point number 2 is back circles. So circling backwards. So going backwards as you circle off to the side. Backwards as you circle off to the side. Typically, that's going to be your lead side, but you go either side. So you are cutting a circle as you're getting further and further away. I cannot overestimate or overstate, rather, the importance of this technique and of this ability. Above and beyond even the ability to make small, specific, precise steps, your ability to cut out backwards and off to the side is paramount for your success as a boxer, to neutralize attacks, to reset opponents. Because if someone wants to attack you and you circle off to the side, they could still get after you if you stay within range. But if you back out as you do it, not only are they trying to get closer to you to actually hit you because you're getting out of range, but also they're having to turn as they do so. And that's very hard to punch. And again, if you are just doing that, then they're not able to even get lucky and run you into a shot. So it's a very, very beautiful thing. And with both these techniques, as I put up on the side, I have a video of me having a cone in the center of the ring with this one, circling away from it. Because so often I'll tell someone, circle and get away, right? From their shadow boxing, let's say. But they'll just circle and stay within range. Circle, and as you circle, end up further and further and further away from the center of the ring where that cone is, so that your back hits the rope. When you do that, that will help you know that you are truly circling and getting away and on that road to have the two very important foundational pieces of footwork that you need. If you do not have the first one down, we will not be able to cut people off. All right. Because I know it almost sounds like I'm talking more about tall people type stuff. With those small steps, you won't be able to cut people off. And when you do attack, you're going to smother yourself. And then they're going to tie you up and you ain't going to get anything off. And with the second one, if you're small, short, fat, or skinny, if you're not able to do this when someone attacks and to also take these times to reset your opponent, then they're going to have their opportunity to be the general of the ring. We don't want that. This is our ring. We own it. That's one thing I like to have in my mind when I box, and I've done it sometimes with my fighters, stomping on the ring, say, we own this ring. Own that ring. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click like, subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts. Comment below. And then also watch out for the next one. Jump on the Patreon page. I have a lot of cool things there. I also have that ComboCraft where I go through in-depth combinations, how to build them, and how to get them so they just flow from you so you don't have to even think about it. All right, guys, so check that out. See you on the next video.